Some of you may know, and some of you send me some, and I always like getting them, so keep sending them. I collect, I really like dumb criminal news stories. There used to be a syndicated television show called America's Dumbest Criminals. And, you know, it was a cheaply made show, but it was great. And our market, it was on Saturdays. And, I mean, and there was 4 or 5 stories, and always, really stupid crooks. But usually, like, if I travel, I get, like, the small community newspapers if I can, because the main city may not have it, but the small community papers usually have the dumb crook stories and, all of that. And so I collect them. I probably have 1,000 of them by now, but I always like new ones. And some of the fairly recent favorites, well, one's an old one, but it's so good. But one is, and this I think happens all the time, but very recently this guy got himself arrested because the bank he held up, he wrote the note on the back of his own deposit slip. And that's what he gave, the teller. We actually have a guy at the track who has a few horses who was a bank manager, and he put on a mask and robbed his own bank, which his logic about this was he knew it intimately, so that would be the good one to rob. Of course, the guy's like 6'4" with a fairly distinctive voice, and the staff all knew him, not real smart. There's a great, the original founder of Entrepreneur Magazine, the original founder, not the current people, but way back, he would occasionally get himself in money trouble. And so he's telling me this one morning at breakfast at a seminar where we're both speaking. And I didn't know it, but he had a lot of tattoos, which sometimes, so he'd done a little time. And so he decided, when he was in trouble, he was in Los Angeles. It was all over the news in LA, it just didn't register with me, but he decided to get himself out of trouble by robbing a bunch of banks in one day. And the plan he concocted is a pretty smart guy, actually. So he mapped himself out a route, and he figured out a way to rent a motorhome with fake ID. And he went down to where you pick up people with no green cards to be day laborers, to one of those parking lots. And he picked up a bunch of guys. He deliberately picked the ones that didn't speak English real well. And he had watches for all of them that could be set to the time that they were supposed to be back out where he dropped them. And he gave them all notes in envelopes and bags and conveyed to them that they were supposed to take that up to the teller. And so his strategy was to drop them all and then go back and pick them up at the appointed times. And if they were there, he'd pick them up. If they weren't, he'd just drive on by if there's a bunch of cop cars there, and he just wouldn't pick them up, right? And so, excuse me, so this worked. And I don't remember the number now, but it was 7 or 8 or 9 banks in the same day. They all got robbed. And he picked everybody up, drove them back to the lot, dumped them off. The cops finally found them. A bunch of guys don't speak English, right? All they can do is watch, big truck, they don't know. But he said, it's such a, I just couldn't bear the thought of having gone to all the trouble to figure all that out and do it only once. So 3 weeks goes by and nobody bothers him, so he does it again. And not only does he do it again, he does the exact same route, because why reinvent the wheel, right? This time, of course, they were waiting for him, and he did some time. There's 2 guys, this is true, Colorado. They robbed this convenience store out in the middle of nowhere. And And they jump in their car and they take off like a bat out of hell because they know the cops are coming. It's in this small town up in the Colorado mountains. And it's not their normal turf. And so in very short order, they're hopelessly lost, driving 900 miles an hour up and down the mountain through the pine forest. They have no idea where they are or how to get back to wherever it is they came from. And they're actually worried about running out of gas. But up ahead through the fog, good news, there's a convenience store. Yeah, see, I shouldn't need to finish this one. So these buffoons go back to the same convenience store that they robbed to stop and get directions. And they both go in because one's going to get directions, the other one's going to get beer because they got money. And of course the guy's waiting for them with a double-barreled shotgun and, you know, some Darwinian principles apply. Two more. There's a guy. He robs a store or a bank, I forget which, in town. The cops chase him to his home, and he hides in the deep freeze. You know, the big square like you might have in your garage or your basement, right? So his is in the kitchen, actually. So he takes all the frozen food out of the deep freeze, piles it in the sink, and then he hides in the deep freeze. Now, small-town cops may not be rocket scientists, but as they come in to search the house, they notice this giant, you know, hoard of melting food and brilliantly put two and two together. But they very slowly and meticulously searched the entire house before arriving at the half-frozen guy in the deep freeze. But here's the best one of all. This guy, very small town, I think it was an auto parts store, some kind of store. He robs, takes all the merchandise home, tools and stuff, and is going to sell them on eBay. So he takes all the stolen goods home to his trailer, no surprise. And of course, he's going to put them on eBay, so he has to photograph them. So he puts each thing on the floor and photographs it, right? Barefoot. And his feet are in the picture. Mm-hmm. Now, in every one of the pictures that he puts up on eBay, now remember, it's a very small town. This moron has very distinctive tattooed feet. They are completely covered with tattoos. Everybody in town knows his feet. So his stuff is up on eBay for about an hour before the police arrive at his door and take him away. Now, I have a theory about crime in general. I think that there's a lot of people who shouldn't go to jail for what they go to jail for, but that we should have a federal penitentiary for the criminally stupid. See, this is the place that, say, Martha Stewart should have gone. Okay? No, you shouldn't go for obstruction of justice, but for jeopardizing the whole empire for $15,000 on a stock trade, you should go do a year at the prison for the criminally stupid. Simpson for going and trying to steal back his memorabilia when you sort of know you're an unpopular character who might not do well with law enforcement or in a courtroom. I'm not so sure the guy should go to jail for going and getting his stuff, even at gunpoint, but he should go for being criminally stupid. And exercise every day should be to come out in the yard and take your place and smash your head against the wall for 15 minutes and go back into your cell. So that when you got out, maybe you would be smarter. You know, that's my theory. So here's what I detect in a lot of business people. Criminal stupidity about devoting their time, energy, money, and resources to selling to people with less money rather than selling to people with more money. So think about all the criminals who rob convenience stores. Can you be any dumber? Okay? There's very little money to get. They all have surveillance cameras. They all have safes that they drop the money into every hour, so there's not a lot of money in the cash register. And a whole lot of those guys have guns. Right? So there's very little to get. There's a reasonably good chance of getting shot. Okay? And you're immortalized on film. And there's a big sign on the window that says security camera, okay? Just in case you weren't aware of this fact. Which, if you're a convenience store customer, you know, and pretty much everybody that robs convenience stores are convenience store customers. They could go rob mansions. There's more junk laying around in the foyer that's worth more than the money they're going to get at the convenience store, and they can rob them when nobody's home. And very few people who live in mansions have double-barreled shotguns. I mean, it happens, but not often. You know, they tend to have little yappy dogs like our $1 million dog that'll just bark at them a little while and then befriend them. But they don't have double-barreled shotguns, right? So why not rob mansions instead of convenience stores? And the question is, are you doing the same thing in your business? See, are you spending all your time trying to rob convenience stores when just a short look, the main reason they don't, by the way, is because they'd have to drive out of where they live 10, 15 miles out to where the mansions are, and that's just too much. You know, they want to rob something like that they can walk to or take the bus to, you know. Driving 15 miles is too much to ask of a career criminal. And business people are largely the same. I mean, it's just too much to ask to figure out how to go this short distance away, not necessarily geographically, from where I am in order to deal with mansions and the people who live in them instead of the equivalent of convenience stores and the people who own them. So most business owners have no strategy about this whatsoever. Okay? Their customer acquisition strategy is whoever we can get. That's their customer acquisition strategy, is whoever we can get. Okay? And the problem with that is first of all, it costs just as much to get a poor customer as it does to get Joan Rivers, who I did a bunch of work for. You know, Joan's advice to women always was, you know, you can fall in and out of love with a rich guy just as easily as you can a poor guy. Pick the former rather than the latter. Somebody said amen. See, I knew we weren't going to get all the way till the end of the day. It's impossible, right? You were going to screw with me. So the same thing's true with customers. See, it's not proportionately difficult to go get a rich customer than a poor customer. But pretty much everybody's strategy is any customer we can get. But if you understand, as we talked about in an earlier module, the customer's the asset. Right? So you're making an investment in an asset. So don't you want the most valuable asset that you can acquire? So marketing to more affluent customers is a strategy that really every business owner, whether you're a consumer or B2B, doesn't make any difference, needs to give some serious thought to. Why don't more do it? Well, most business owners are handicapped in marketing to the affluent, not just by skills, by practical skills, by not knowing, but also by attitudes. And both have to be given a little consideration. So practical needs, what do you need to know? Well, you need to know where they are. Where are the more affluent buyers for my particular type of business? And how do I reach them? You need to know what these more affluent customers, clients, patients want. So how can I be appealing to them? Okay? You need to know their language so you can talk to them in a way that is acceptable to them and does not mark you as inappropriate for them. Right? And so this is sort of like geographic, but now it's tribal. So if somebody who's spent their whole time in a small town, Mayberry RFD in South Carolina, goes to New York or goes to Boston to do business, they immediately have difficulty, right? Because they're immediately marked because of their language as a rube. If the person who's lived in Boston their whole life goes to Mayberry RFD in South Carolina, they have difficulty because they're immediately marked as an elite Easterner, right? Well, the same thing is true here, even though it's not about geography. It's still tribal. So there's language to be learned so you can talk to them effectively, and there's the design of a marketing system that they will respond to. Attitudinally, the obstacles may be greater. One is you have to really believe that there's an ocean of money slopping around out there all the time. And again, at the moment that we're recording this, there's even more said about that negatively than at other times. There is this perception, this real attempt to sell you on the idea that nobody has any money and nobody's buying anything. And our population is completely made up of people hanging on by their fingernails who certainly can't be spending anything. And if you're not careful, you sort of begin to believe that too. And it really is just you're looking in the wrong places and listening to the wrong folks. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But in order to do this, in order to market more effectively, to get more affluent customers, you first have to grasp that there's plenty of them to get and that they are spending plenty of money even while other people may not be spending or may be spending less. Secondly, you have to understand them. Right? And so if you are not one of them and you are not of this tribe, you will tend to think their behavior odd or weird or even not believe the behavior exists. And so you need to understand them. And then you have to get over your own personal reluctance to sell to them. And so we're going to talk about both the practical and the attitudinal. And let's start with, is there any money? Well, not fairly recently, right? The most recent Batman movie had a $150 million opening. So people spent $150 million going to the movies. Understand that's just what we spent on tickets. That's not what we spent on popcorn, soda pop, gummy bears, etc. Stopping at restaurants before they went, after they went. That's just tickets. $150 million in a 3-day period of time to go see a movie, filling the restaurants around the theaters. And by the way, everybody had to use gas to get there and get back. Now, if you listen to the media, you understand everybody's got their car up on blocks, okay? Because nobody can afford gas. Okay? But somehow they all managed to get to the movie theaters. They also managed to get to the malls to line up and wait in line to buy iPhones. Now, are there stores in those malls not doing well? Yes. At the same time that 1,000 people were standing in line waiting to buy an iPhone. So there's 1,000 people there, and they're spending money on something. So the guy looking at the line with his store that's not doing well, he says, economy's bad, nobody's spending any money, even while he's looking at them. No, you just don't have anything exciting enough for them to all lined up and spend money on. It's not that they're not spending. $4 a gallon gas, our most recent holiday weekend, the holiday driving was reduced by 1%. 1%. Everybody went, filled up, and everybody went, 1% reduction. Here's what's really true about fluctuations in the economy. Money is short only in a few select segments. And in other segments, it's just fine. There's geographic variation, there's type of product service variation, right? But overall, the same amount of spending occurs. Now, investment dollars park. Spending dollars actually don't. Maybe they should, different topic of conversation, but they don't. They just move around differently, but they keep moving. And one business that's hurting begets another business that is either created or wasn't doing well that is now doing well. I picked it up yesterday. This is my local business journal. And here's the headline. In the wake of foreclosure mess, the business of maintaining abandoned homes booms. And so this is an article about a big company that is growing by leaps and bounds, that comes in, clears all the trash out, cleans up the abandoned house, and makes sure it stays in good condition until it gets sold. So they can't hire people fast enough. They can't accommodate the demand in Cleveland for their service. Every foreclosure to them is, let's have a round of applause. Here's good news. Oh boy, there's more. Goody, goody, goody. Let's hire more people. Right? And now if you read the article deeper, now they're making so much money, they don't really need the money, so they're starting to buy because they're seeing them all. So they're starting to buy the best bargains of the homes that they're being hired to take care of. And when all the dust settles, they're going to own a ton of good real estate that they bought at nickels and dimes on the dollar with the money they were making by running the business. SUV sales, not so good. Commuter motorcycle sales, real good. Harley's rushing to the market. Everybody else already had one, but Harley kind of stuck their nose up at it, but they're rushing out the tricycle, right? Because there's a big demand for commuter bikes. People who wouldn't normally ride a motorcycle will ride one of these things to go back and forth to work. The other thing you should know about this is that the classes just divided. So you hear all the time that the American middle class has disappeared. And that's somewhat true. But it's not like the alien mothership came and sucked them all up and they're gone. They went somewhere, right? They didn't physically disappear. Their demographics changed. So where did they go? 1/3 moved down, 2/3 moved up. Mm-hmm. There's a new class called middle-class millionaires. And even with the recent reversals in real estate value, it's still the fastest growing demographic in America. Same money, it just got redistributed. Right? And there's actually more affluent customers than there were before. And guess what's going to happen over the next decade? A lot more affluent customers than there were before. Can't help but be. About to have the largest wealth transfer generationally ever. Your parents, my parents, they're leaving us. They got trillions captive in houses we aren't going to want, in low-yield investment products. All that money's going to be liberated and slop around and wash around again and change hands 4, 5, 6 times. So there's plenty of money. And a lot of it gets spent as dumb money. And we just have no idea if you don't get. So here's just a couple of examples. This is there a photographer in the room? I know there's a videographer because he was talking to me about, is there anybody in here that's actually in photography business? Huh? 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 Well, here's this guy's day rate to do weddings. It's $10,000 an hour, 12-hour minimum. $10,000 an hour, 12-hour minimum. Waiting list. If you want, you can get something scheduled for late 09. Late 09. You know how many photographers are running around trying to get $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $300 an hour? Guy's got a waiting list until late 09. I'll show you some other examples later. If you don't pay attention, you have no idea. There's a level of money being spent, and it's easier to get that than it is to get the low dollar. So why work? Why should we work at attracting more affluent customers? Well, one, a more secure business. In troubled times, they are least and last affected. In good times, they spend freest. In troubled times, they're least and last affected. So the person who dines at Olive Garden, I dated this gal for 2 years right after high school. And her father hated me. And in retrospect, I don't blame him. This guy was a middle manager executive at Goodyear Tire, lived in Akron, Ohio, and he was a gray person, meaning hair, skin color, clothes, car, personality, all gray. You could set your watch by when the back of his head appeared in the front window of his house every day. This is how predictable he was. So from work to home to TV tray, drink, Wall Street Journal, back of head, pop up in the window, exactly the same place, exactly the same time. He took his wife out twice a year on her birthday and on their anniversary. And I swear to God, on the birthday, he took her to Bob's Big Boy every year. And now this is not like that Putz John Edwards with the we go to Wendy's on our anniversary nonsense. This is for real. This guy took her every year to Bob's Big Boy. And for their wedding anniversary, a step up, he took her to the Brown Derby, which is kind of like a mid-range, like an Outback level steak place. Right? Well, I ruined this in 3 months. Because when I dated. So this is now, his deal is blown apart. Because the daughter's going to more places in a week than he's taken the wife to in 25 years, better places, with regaling the stories. And so he hated me, which I understand, okay? But see, this guy, the first thing he'll do in an economy like this is cut one of those two out. Mm-hmm. See, he will be immediately affected, if not in reality, emotionally. Oh, we got to cut back, because that's the way he thinks already anyway. Okay? The person who stays at the Ritz and goes to Morton's, affected slower and less affected. So which customer do you want? Which builds a more secure business? The first businesses to get in trouble are the ones middle to low. All the way at the bottom, okay, because people buy necessities from them, people keep buying unnecessities. All the way at the top, okay, because we have this kind of customer. In between, not so good. More secure business. Second, less competition. It's real important. Everybody thinks it's harder to get these customers. It's not, because there's fewer people with the cojones to go after them. There's fewer people trying to get the affluent customer, and even fewer trying to get the ultra-affluent customer, than there are trying to get Ma and Pa Farquharter who go to Bob's Big Boy on their anniversary. A lot of people trying to get them. The competition is massive. Right? There's a lot less competition here. Further up the demographic ladder you go, less competition. Mm-hmm. There's a Walgreens and a CVS opposite each other on every corner. Who are they trying to get? Okay? And they're both selling, what's a lipstick in a Walgreens go for? I don't even know. What, a couple bucks still? I don't even know. Anybody know? $8? Okay. All right. But there's not a Sephora store on every corner. Okay? There's a limited number of Sephora stores. And then there's a whole nother level of cosmetics. The $800 lipstick. All right. Oh, yeah, there's $800 lipstick. The guy just went, yeah, hey, let me tell you something. There's probably $8,000. There's probably $8,000 lipsticks. I just don't happen to know about it, but I know about the $800 lipstick. That exists. And by the way, somebody somewhere is probably putting it on a pig. They're less price sensitive. These customers are less price sensitive. So what kind of customer do you want? You want a customer who does not make their decisions based on price. Okay? Now, only 10% of the people make their decisions based on price all the time. They have no choices. All right? But there's about 25% of the population that never makes a decision based on price. It's not one of their criteria. They buy what they want to buy, what they're convinced they should buy, what they feel they need. They typically try and buy the best of what it is that they buy, and price is not a consideration. At the ultra-affluent level, they shop in places where there are no price tags. I vividly remember the first time I saw this. I thought this was the most amazing thing. I bumbled into a store on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. I'm shooting an infomercial in LA, and I bumble in this store because I saw a jacket that I liked. And there's no price tag. So, okay, they screwed up. They left it off this one, right? Check this one, no price tag. Finally asked the clerk, I get the boat answer. Sir, if you have to inquire about the price, this is probably not the appropriate store for you. So I bought the thing and found out what it cost when he ran the card. I never did that again, by the way, but there are customers, a big chunk of customers, 25% of the population, don't decide by price. So would you rather have a price-sensitive customer or a non-price-sensitive customer? Each customer is obviously more valuable, which means you can invest more to acquire them and invest more to keep them. So where is the money? Who has it? Well, the old middle class, of course, is gone. The people with 40-year careers working at the factory, that's all over with. We know it's all over with. Okay? But there's this whole new middle class, okay? The middle class millionaire that has occurred, and they have higher discretionary spending capability than ever. There are all sorts of segments within the affluent. Right? So there are a whole segment now of independent female buyers and investors who almost did not buy much and did not invest much before. Right? They are in cosmetic surgery and cosmetic dentistry. They are ideal clients. The sweet spot for them is 6 months after the divorce and they got the house. That's the ideal prospect, because they're getting back in the game and they're going to go get something done. Most of them go get a lot done, and they have the ability to pay for it. There are now almost as many female investors as there are male investors. Didn't used to be the case. So the quote, independent woman consumer that has recently as a decade ago did not exist for big ticket items and investments and financial services, they're now a very real category. The boomers have an enormous amount of discretionary spending power and a different attitude about spending than any previous group reaching the same age. Every previous group reaching the same age had a stop spending mentality. They downsized, they kept what they had, and they began to save every penny to leave to their children. We don't have that attitude. A lot of us are on my plan. Spend it all, die broke. Let them go get their own, just like I did. Here's a copy of Think and Grow Rich. Have at it. All right? I'm buying another horse. Sorry, but that's the deal. I want the last check to bounce, and I want to spend every penny. They're spending like there's no tomorrow. Boomers got 2 houses, 3 houses. Taking vacations, buying. And they're about to have more money than they have now. There's other segments too we don't have time to talk about. The Marketing the Affluent book, I talk about a bunch of them. So your tasks are escape all kinds of poverty thinking about yourself and about others, about the marketplace. Now here's the biggie. You need to find out for yourself, for your business, who has strong, urgent, motivating need or passionate desire for what you offer and has ample money to buy it and makes those decisions without significant concern over price. There is somebody, there is a group of people for whatever it is that you do. Wedding photography, death photography. Probably got a better term for it, don't we? Yeah. the end of life ceremonial, whatever it is. But wedding photography, death photography, probably sell a package. Well, there's nothing wrong with prepay, you know. There's a group of people for whatever it is that you do who fit this description. They have urgent, motivating need or passionate desire. They have ample money to buy, and they make their decisions without significant concern over price. And that's who you want to find. And if you must do some makeovers to your business in order to suit them, go ahead.